Good morning, my dear students. Today in DP, we are going to continue the same chapter, that is, Working of Institutions. Children, till now, in this chapter, we have studied about the need for the political institutions, parliament, then why do we need parliament, two houses of parliament, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and then we have also studied about the Prime Minister and his councils of ministers, powers of Prime Ministers, and today we are going to study about the President and the judiciary of our country. Children, you know that the Prime Minister is the head of the government and the President is the head of the state. In our political system, the head of the state exercises only nominal powers. The President of India is like a Queen of Britain whose functions are to large extent ceremonial. The President supervises the overall functioning of all the political institutions in the country so that they operate in harmony to achieve the objectives of the state. The President is not elected directly by the people. The elected members of the parliament and the elected members of legislative assemblies elect him. That means the MPs and the MLAs elect the president. A candidate standing for the president's post has to get a majority of votes to win the election. This ensures that the president can be seen to represent the entire nation. At the same time, the president can never claim the kind of direct popular mandate that the prime minister can. This ensures that the president remains only a nominal executive. Children, same is true of the powers of the president. The President of India is the head of the state. He exercises only nominal powers. If you casually read the constitution, you would think that there is nothing that the president cannot do. All the governmental activities take place in the name of the president. All the laws and the major policy decisions of the government are issued in his or her name. Children, all major appointments are made in the name of the President. These include the appointment of Chief Justice of India, the judges of Supreme Court and the High Court of the states, the governors of the state, the election commissioner, ambassador to other countries, etc. All the international treaties and the agreement are made in the name of the President. The President is the supreme commander of the Defence Forces of India. Children, but we should remember that the President exercises all these powers only on the advice of the councils of the ministers. The President can take the councils of ministers to reconsider its advice. But if the same advice is given again, he is bound to act according to it. Similarly, a bill passed by the parliament becomes a law only after the president gives assent to it. The president wants, he can delay this for some time and send the bill back to the parliament for the reconsideration. But if the parliament passes the bill again, she or he has to sign it. Children, so you may wonder, what does the president really do? Can president do anything on his own at all? There is one very important thing he should do on his own. That is, he appoints a prime minister. Children, when a party or a coalition of the parties secures a clear majority in the election, the president has to appoint the leader of a majority party or the coalition that enjoys majority support in the Lok Sabha. But when no party or a coalition gets a majority in Lok Sabha, the president exercises his discretion. The president appoints a leader who, in his opinion, can muster majority support in the Lok Sabha. In such case, the president can ask the newly appointed prime minister to prove majority support in the Lok Sabha within a specified time. Now children, let's see presidential system. Children, president all over the world are not always nominal executive like the president of our country. In many countries of the world, the president is both the head of the state and the head of the government. The president of the United States of America is the most well-known example of this kind of president. The US president is directly elected by the people. He personally chooses and appoints all the ministers. The lawmaking is still done by the legislature, which is known as Congress in the US, but the president can veto any law. Most importantly, the president does not need the support of the majority of the member in the Congress, and neither he is answerable to them. He has a fixed tenure of 4 years and completes it even if his party does not have a majority in the Congress. This model is followed of the countries of Latin America and many of the ex-Soviet Union countries. Given the centrality of the president, this system of government is called the presidential form of government. In countries like ours, that follows the British model, the parliament is supreme. Therefore, our system is called parliamentary system of government. Now, the judiciary. Children, let us return one final time to the story of office memorandum that we have started with. Children, just imagine how different the story could have been. Remember, the story came to a satisfactory end because the Supreme Court gave a verdict that was accepted by everyone. Imagine what would have happened in the following situation if there was nothing like a Supreme Court in the country. Even if there was a Supreme Court, if it had no power to judge actions of the government, even if it had the power, if no one trusted the Supreme Court to give a fair verdict, even if it gave a fair judgment, if those who appealed against the government order did not accept the judgment. Children, that is why an independent and powerful judiciary is considered essential for the democracies. All the courts at different level in the country put together are called the judiciary. Children, the Indian judiciary consists of Supreme Court for the entire nation, High Court in the states, district courts and the courts at the local level. India has an integrated judiciary. It means the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country. Children, Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country. Its decisions are binding on all the other courts of the country. It can take up any disputes between citizens of the country, between citizen and the government, between two or more state government, and between governments at the union and state level. Children, it is the highest court of appeal in the civil and criminal cases. It can hear appeals against the decision of the high courts. Independence of the judiciary means that it is not under the control of the legislature or the executive. The judges do not act on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. That is why all the modern democracies have courts that are independent of the legislature and executive. India has achieved this. The judges of Supreme Court and the High Court are appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Children, in practice, it now means that the senior judges of the Supreme Court select the new judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court. There is very little scope for the interference of the political executive. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed by the Chief Justice. Once a person is appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court or a High Court, it is nearly impossible to remove him or her from that position. It is as difficult as removing the President of India. A judge can be removed only by an impeachment motion passed separately, two-thirds of members of the two houses of the parliament. Children, it has never happened in the history of our country. The judiciary in India is also one of the most powerful in the world. The Supreme Court and the High Court have the power to interpret the constitution of the country. Children, once again listen this. The Supreme Court and the High Courts have the power to interpret the constitution of the country. They can declare invalid any law of the legislature or the action of executive, whether at the union level or at the state level, if they find such a law or a action is against constitution. Thus, they can determine the constitutional validity of any legislation or the action of the executive in the country when it is challenged before them. This is known as judicial review. The Supreme Court of India has also ruled that the core or the basic principles of constitution cannot be changed by the parliament. The powers and the independence of the Indian judiciary allow it to act as the guardian of fundamental rights. Children, in recent years, the courts have given several judgments and directives to protect the public interest and human rights. Anyone can approach the court if public interest is hurt by the actions of the government. This is called public interest litigation. The courts intervene to prevent the misuse of government's power to make decisions. They check malpractices on the part of public officials. That is why the judiciary enjoys a high level of confidence among the people. Children, once again, let's see the appointment and the removal of the judges. The judges of Supreme Court and the High Court are appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister and in the consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed as the Chief Justice. Once a person is appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court or High Court, it is nearly impossible to remove him or her from that position. A judge can be removed only by an impeachment motion passed separately by two-thirds member of the two houses of the parliament. It has never happened in the history of Indian democracy. That's all for today, children. Thank you and have a nice day.